Hello guys, welcome to my channel. I'm Naval Yamul. In this series of Power BI, we are starting a basic introductory of data modeling, how data modeling is important, and how the cardinality of the tables, that is relationship of the tables, is important. So for that, I'm loading a dataset of Adventure Works dataset. Let me click on open. So this is a dataset provided by Microsoft itself for our practice. You can find this dataset in Power BI, in SQL Server also. So you have all these tables. So let me tick all this table. I have a quick preview on those tables, and then we can. So if I click on transform data, so you or we will be redirected towards the Power Query. So if you have any like headers to be changed or any transformation or any cleaning the data, shaping the data, we click on transform the data. Or if you feel like the data is all okay and you don't need any changes to be done in Power Query or in transformation, then you can directly click on load. So actually it is mandatory to go to transformation and check on all the details of that data. For example, do the column profiling, check the data types of all the columns, check the column headers, and then pull that data into Power BI Desktop. Because the column headers plays a very important role. If you do not assign correct column headers and correct column data types, you may get a lot of confusion when you bring the data into your Power BI Desktop. So let me show you few examples, like what happens if you do not have a correct headers as well as if you do not have a correct data type assigned. So you can see that it is creating some connection between the models. It is creating the data is loaded to the model, and then you can see all our tables into this fields. So all the tables are shown here. Give me one or 2 seconds. Yeah. So you can see that one of the loaded query contain error. So once you click on that, your error will be vanished or will be gone. Not to worry about that. So this is all about getting data into your Power BI desktop. So just now we were talking about if we do not have correct column headers as well as column data types, then you may lead a confusion or you may get a like wrong interpretation. Let me show you. So if I just open the table of customers, so you can see all these columns into our table customers. So just imagine if you do not have the correct headers, so you may get names like column 1, column 2, column 3, column 4. So you might be not aware like what is there inside that column. And here you can see that when the column data type is a text or a string data type, you do not get any symbols here. At the same time, when you click on date table, here you can see that we have a small calendar here. This indicates that it is showing some calendar. It has some hierarchy data. You can click on this small arrow to see a date hierarchy automatically created by Power BI. So we did not create any hierarchy. So this is called hierarchy. So if I click on what is there inside the hierarchy, so you can see that we have year, we have quarter, we have month. But when you look at the data, so here we have a data view. So if you look at the data and in that data view, go to the date table and go to the date. So here we have only one column, but here it is showing me all the details inside that column. Just a minute. Date hierarchy. You can see year, quarter, month. So this data hierarchy is automatically created by Power BI because how it has created, it is simple. Just by looking at this data type, it has automatically created. And then we have other tables. So we can easily say that these tables or these columns are a string columns. So you can say string means a text column. So when you look at the full date also is of a date data type. Month is also date data type. Month key is in a number. Here you can see that this is a number. Date key is also a number. Number means you will get a symbol like summation. Similarly, you can scan everything. So if you come to product table, you have everything. You got everything here in a string actually, but that should not happen because your product key and your sorting are actually numbers, but we are getting it as a, yeah, you can see here we are getting it as a number only. You can see whole number. If you feel that you need to change the data type, you can go here and you can change at any point of time. So you can do the change of data type in this data model view also, or you can go to Power Query for that. So to enter into Power Query, you can click on this like transform data. You will be redirected to Power Query. Okay. So that was the basic of once you get a data into Power BI. Now let me show you of how your model looks like. So Power BI automatically detects all your tables. I can just minimize this. Yeah. So it will automatically create a relationship between the tables. So we have discussed it. When you are working on Power BI model, Power BI engine is designed in such a way that it accepts a star schema most of the time. If your data model is not in the star schema, you can go to the Snowflake schema. So if you have a single table, like you have a single table, and if you have a huge number of columns in that, suppose 70, 80 columns in that, and you have millions of records into row, when you fetch that data into a Power BI model and you start building a report on that, the engine performance will be poor. You may lead, like you may get wrong results when you are doing some complex calculation. So to overcome all these things, we are creating a star schema out of that. So in star schema, we have one fact table. So fact table is your observation table or your main table, master table, and there are all dimension table which are connected to your fact table. So dimension tables do not have any repeated value. It will have a numerical values inside that most of the time. Sorry, it will have a categorical values most of the time. And in sales, it has numerical values in that. Suppose if you have like a question like what was the sale, what was the previous year's sales, what was the last year's sale or last month's sale, you always refer to a fact table. But if I ask you questions like who performed well, like which product performed well, so product, then these categorical questions can be answered by the help of product table. So in the last video, we have seen like how a relationship between the table plays a very important role. So let me just delete one of the relationship, or we have one more table actually, table a date table. If you scroll on the right side, you can see here a date table is there and no relationship is created between the date table. So just I'll do some arrangement. For that you can just click on fit to page, a small icon there. Here you can see all the tables. So let me put this all here, and now this is the date table. You can call this as a dim table. So dim table do not have any repeated values, whereas sales table will have a repeated values. So let me explain you some of the examples of fact and dim table for your clear understanding by using this whiteboard. Okay, so let me take an example. Suppose you are dealing with a uh, e-commerce website, okay, e-com website like Amazon. So they have a huge amount of data. They have a huge amount of data. So let me take a data. So let me take a e-com website or the data of Amazon. So just imagine how many columns do you have. Suppose they are on the sale day like Amazon Prime Day or Big Billion Day of Flipkart. So suppose I'm talking about only one of the table. They have hundreds of tables They have hundreds of data. I'm just picking one of the data. Okay, so you have, suppose, order ID at the first column. You have order ID. Second is you have a date table, sorry, date column. Inside that date column you have a month column, and then you have a day column, and then you have a product table, then you, sorry, product column, then you have a category column, then you have a subcategory column, then you have, like, you we are working on this, like we have 70-80 columns on that. Then you have a sale price on that product. What is the sale price? Then you have a quantity, then you have a discount, and so many columns are there. Now just imagine we have only one table. In that one table, let me just, okay, you have one table, and in that you have all these details. Okay, let me take this black and start explaining here. So order ID can be like this. Suppose 2022 123. Date is 17/10/22. Month is October. Day is 17th. Product is, suppose, phone, and category is, product is, sorry, product is, suppose, let us take mobile, and in that, or electronics. Okay, electronics, and a category is iPhone, and subcategory is iPhone 13, for example. Sale prices, iPhone 13 sale prices 80,000 rupees, quantity is 1, and the discount is, suppose, 5%. And obviously you will have all the details about the customer who has purchased this. Let me take this. So you have the details of the customer, customer name, customer first name, customer ID, first name, last name, customer mobile number, customer email address, customer's location, customer's address, all of this. Okay, let me just take 2 or 3 columns: name, last name, mobile number, email, and location. Okay, so let me take an example here. For example, the customer ID is 123. His name is ABC. Last name is XYZ. Mobile number is 70. Mail address is @y.com. Okay, so this is all the data of single table. Now you can imagine how many columns are there. Oh my god, you can see there are so many columns. And imagine that we are getting, suppose, 1 million rows. So it is around 10 plus lakh rows. Okay, this is for one single day. So imagine if you have to do analysis on 1 year or 2 years and so on, or 10 years, you can just see how much data you have. So when you pull this huge amount of the data into Power BI, that engine will obviously lead into a performance issues. Your performance of that engine will be low. You need a lot of time to refresh the data, and some of the complex calculation will obviously lead some misinterpretation on that. So to overcome that, what we can do, we can split these tables, or we can split this whole single large table into multiple tables. So what I'll do, sorry, so I'll take this table, and this is, suppose, a huge table. I'll split that into small tables like this. So it is not like picking up any columns and splitting it. I cannot do in that way. So there should be some logic. There should be something behind the scene. So what logic I'll be performing? That logic is nothing but your schema. So that is what I'm talking about, your schema. So I will create a star schema out of that. First, I'll try to create a star schema. If it is not possible, then I'll go with the snowflake schema. So can you think on what would be the fact table, what would be the dim tables out of this? I'll give you a few seconds. Think on and just tell me what would be the fact tables and what would be the dim tables out of this table. So these are your column 1, column 2, column 3, column 4, column 5, column 6 inside one single table. So you have one single table. In that you have so many columns: 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15 and so on. 15, 16 columns are there. So how to split that into a multiple tables? You cannot directly take few columns and put it into one table, put it into one table. You cannot do that. So there should be some logic. That is what I'm talking about. Let me tell you guys. So what I'll do now, I'll take this order ID and I'll create a new table that should have something related to product detail. So I'll take a new table and I'll say that in that table I will take about product details. So I'll call this table name as product details, and I will say that okay, in that I want column of product, I want column of category, I want column of subcategory, and obviously there should be one column called product ID. Okay, but you might be surprised, like where is the product ID in this? Okay, actually we missed it. We should include one product ID somewhere here. Okay, so in this column I will have a product ID also. So now if there are 500 people who are purchasing iPhone 13 with a similar price, not 500, it can be 5,000, 50,000 also. So imagine that you have product ID for iPhone. For example, iPhone's product ID is i13. Okay, just for example. Now I'll write i13 here. And what is the product? So product is your electronics or mobile, and the category is your iPhone, and your subcategory is your iPhone 13. Now you look at the magic. So if you have 5,000, 50,000 columns, sorry, 50,000 rows, who is the person who are buying iPhone 13, this 50,000 times you have to write electronics, 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 iPhone, 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 iPhone 13, 13, 13, 13, 13, 13, 13, and so on. So instead of that, what I can suggest you, yeah, we know that i13 means it is an electronic product, it is an iPhone, it is iPhone 13. So instead of that, I will just round all this column. I will delete this and I will give a new name, product details. Now, if someone is saying that, okay, product ID is 13, I13 means what? Okay, come here, I'll tell you what is I13. Come to the dim table of product details and I will say that, okay, product ID is I13. It is falls under the category of electronics. It is a iPhone and it is a iPhone 13. This is one dim table. I can create one more dim table based on, I can call date. So here suppose 50,000 records are there. Out of 50,000 records or 50,000 rows, if you are like the delivery is on the same date or the order is on the same date, he may get like 17 10 2022, 17 10 2022, 17 10 2022, 50,000 times. And month October, simply it is written 50,000 times, 50,000 times. Day 17 17 17 is also 50,000 times. So instead of that, what I'll do, I can give the best solution. Okay, so what we can do, I will make these two, actually these three, and put all that into new column. And I'll say that date, month, and day. So now if I say 17 10 2022, month is October, day is 17, and you can add n number of things in that. You can add what was the financial year, which was the financial year, and what was the day, what was the month name, what was the quarter, everything can be added. Now just imagine 50,000 rows. Now, if you ask me anything about 1710, I will tell that 1710 is this much. That's all. This is one table. What I can do next is I can reduce it more further, and I can see that, okay, I have a customer ID. So I'll just create dim customer table, and I can say that you have ID, you have name, you have last name, you have number, you have email address. And I can remove all this. I can attach your customer ID. This customer ID will relate to dim table. I talk about relationship. So this is how your 15, 16 columns got reduced to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Only 6 to 7 columns have been reduced out of 15. Now we have created from single table, we have created 1, 2, 3. So let me explain you again. So we had one single table, that is your sales table. We have created one small table out of it, second small table out of it, third small table out of it. So these three are called dim tables, dim tables, dim tables. But this was dim date, this was dim product, and this was dim customer. Now if I see and talk about these two, there should be some relation between these two. If you are not having a relationship, then you cannot call that these two are like fact and dim table. There is some relation. You have to create a relationship. Now let us go back to the example and see. If I see product ID, if I talk about product ID column, so there is some relation between these two product ID column and product details table and sales table. If you look at the details, your product ID and your product ID are same. This is exactly the same. And in this, if you are taking 50,000 times I3, I13, 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 I can say that in one row, I can give all the details of I13. So now suppose different customers purchases I14, for example, I can just add I14 here only one time, and I can say that it is electronic, this is category iPhone, and I can write category as iPhone 14. With only one row, I can give you all the details. Now here we have only unique values, so it is 1 year, and here it is many. So when you are creating a relationship between your product dim and the sales, your relationship between should be one to many, because in this table we have many values, whereas sorry, my mistake, this is fact table. So here we have many values, and here you have one values. So here it is many and it is one. So relationship between many, the fact and the dim is many to one, and your cross filter direction or your filter direction flows in this way. So this is a cross filter direction. Understanding data modeling are of like these 2 points are very important. One is your cardinality, and second is your cross filter direction. So there are four types of cardinality, that is types of relationship. First is one to one, second is one to many, third is many to one, fourth is many to many. One to one, many to one, one to many, and many to many. Cross filter direction is like two types. One is single cross filter direction, and second is both. So we will see that hands on once we start. So when you talk about the date also, now we are not adding any new row inside this, because 1710 all the details are shown here. Suppose tomorrow if this sales table gets some facts here. Suppose this is all dates related to 17. Suppose tomorrow we are starting 18th of October. Then you will add only one row, that is 18, 10, 22. The month is October, the date is 18. And like what was the financial year? It was 22, 23. And which day it was? It was Tuesday, and so on. Quarter was quarter 3, quarter 4, something like that. So you got only one row. So here also we have only one value. Here you have many values. That is relationship between one to many. Similarly, for customer table also the relationship will be many to one. So fact table always have many values, and dim table always have one values. I hope you understood the example or a real-time scenario between data modeling or a star schema. So this is what it star schema looks like. So it looks like a star. So let me just draw it again. So if you look at a star like this, so this is your main fact table, and these are all your dimension table. So if you have one dimension table also, we call it as a star schema. If you have three dimension, if you have four, 5 dimension also, we call it as a dimension star schema. So the important thing is, once you have a large file, very big single table, then we can create a star schema by using Power Query also. We can do it by using Power Query also, or we can do it by using a data modeling or by using a DAX also. Okay. So first you should understand like why we need to build a star schema, or for most of the time or for the first few videos, we will we will see directly some models which are already having a star schema. If you do not have a star schema, then we'll try to build a star schema on that. Understood, guys? Thank you, guys. So this was a simple example to understand you more about star schema and why it is so important. So I request you to watch the whole playlist of Power BI, and please subscribe, like the video, and share it with your friends. Thank you, guys. So let us see all that what we have talked with other example hands-on in our Power BI desktop. So let me come back to Power BI desktop here, and we have loaded AdventureWorks dataset. Now you can see that Power BI automatically created a relationship, and this is your fact table and this is your dimension tables, and you can see the relationship between those two. This is many, this is one, this is many, this is also one here, one to many, one to many, one to many, one to many, but there is no relationship between these two. So when you're creating a relationship between this fact table and the name table, there should be a matching column. We have discussed that matching column. So if actually I want to make a relationship between this date column with the date column in the sales, but I can see that there is no date column actually in this. So I cannot create by using a date column. So let me go and scan some other columns. I have a date key here. Let me check whether do I have a date key or not. Yeah, you can see we have a date key. You have a order date key. So you have one more column like due date key also. But if you look at the data here, so let me go to data and look at the date. And if I just filter out this or sort it by ascending, and the first date is 1st July 2017, and the date key is for 2017-07-01. And when you talk about the date key which is inside the sales table, let me go to the sales table, let me click here. I'll sort this also by using a date key. Yeah, you can see. So the first value on this is 2017-07-01, but the due date key is on the 17th, which is 10 days after the order date key. So we are now pretty sure that this order date key and the date key are the same thing. So the column names are different. That's why it has not detected. So I have told you like how to create a relationship by using this manage relationship. Also you can create, or you can simply drag and drop that into that particular column. So you can see that there are something like dotted highlighted. So that is nothing but like column which we want to create a relationship. So order date key. Yeah, so you can see that a relationship has been built between this column. If I just hover my cursor, you can see that two columns have been selected, and this is how your star schema looks. But if you look closely, this order sales table has been linked, but the relationship between these two are one to one, and the cross filter direction is both. We will discuss about this because in the sales table also, if you look at the sales table, let me show you. Go to data view. So If you look at the sales table, you have more than 1,21,000 rows. If you look at any table, suppose if you look at the date table, you have only 1,400 rows. Customers, you have 18,000 customers. But if you look at the sales order, you have the same column, or sorry, same rows as that of sales. So there is a repeated values in this, and the rows are also matching, so that's why it is showing 1 to 1. We will discuss more on how to deal with this type of thing, 1 to 1 relationship and many to many relationship. How to deal with that, we will talk in the later videos. I hope you enjoyed this session. Thank you guys, thank you for watching. So please like the video. If you like, please subscribe and also share it with your friends. Please support, guys. Thank you again. Thank you for watching.